that I from the last video I sent you through Teams. But I'm going to try and show you some things graphically. Okay, so just bear with me. It's quite sort of tricky to manage all of this. So we're going to look at exactly the same question here, but I want to show you. The solution graphically. Now, to start off, let's just consider two-dimensional space. So let's just say we've got a coordinate axis in 2 dimensions only. Okay, there are basically 3 ways that 2 lines can interact with each other. Okay, the 2 lines could intersect each other. Okay, that's one way they could interact. Another way that they could interact is the 2 lines are parallel. Okay, and so they never intersect. And the third way is that they are in fact the same line. Okay, they are the exact same line. Now, if that is the case, this is where we get a unique solution. Okay, a unique solution. This is where we get no solution. And this is where we get infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. Okay? That, I hope, is pretty obvious to you by now. Okay? So now we're going to extend this into 3 dimensions. Now, bear with me. This is quite tricky to show you. We're going to go into a 3rd dimension. So imagine now we're going into a 3rd dimension here. Okay, so you've got X, Y, and Z axis. Okay, now how can these 2 lines interact with each other? Well, okay, let's say we've got a line that looks like this. Okay, and they could intersect each other at this point here. Okay. What else could happen? Okay, they could, it's exactly the same as 2 dimensions at this stage. They could be parallel. Okay, let's just put in the 3rd dimension. Okay, so they could be parallel. What else could happen? They could be the same line. Okay, so there's a line. There's a line, but there in 3 dimensions there is a 3rd option, which is a 4th option, which is this. It could be we've got a line. Hang on, I need my 3rd dimension. So there's my Z axis. I've got a straight line. Let's say looks like this, and another line that misses it. Okay, so if you imagine that those 2 lines are not intersecting because they are in 3-dimensional space, that blue line is not actually intersecting it because it's crossing it, let's say, behind the green line. It's difficult for me to represent that on a 2-dimensional sheet of paper. Okay, so you've got this 4th option where, and these are called skew lines. They are lines that are not parallel to each other, but also do not intersect each other. Okay? And that is quite possible to exist in 3-dimensional space. So again, what do we end up with? Here we've got a unique solution. Unique solution. Okay? Here we have, no solution. And here we have infinitely many solutions. Infinitely many solutions. And the 4th option, where you've got skew lines, is another way that you can end up with no solution. Okay? So Ahmed in particular, your method of trying to establish whether you've got infinitely many solutions by considering the gradients. And if, sorry, you were trying to say, well, if there's no solution, then the gradients must be the same. Well, in 3 dimensions, that doesn't work because you could have different gradients, but there'd still be no solution because there could be skew lines, as is the case here. Okay? Now, so when you get into 3-dimensional space, you have to think about things a little bit differently than 2-dimensional. So let me just delete that. Now, the problem you've got here is these equations that you've got here, x, a y, a z, and equaling a constant, they don't actually represent lines, okay? They represent planes. Now, what do I mean by a plane? Well, actually, do you know what I'll do? I'll show you my little app here. For some reason, I couldn't get it to... right, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop the video there and go to part 2 because I've lost all the information that I put in. I wanted to show you the skew lines on here, but it's very hard to get it to draw lines for some reason. But anyway, I'm going to stop the video, and there's going to be another video to come because I don't want you to sit here whilst I tap information in. Okay?